Welcome back, Tiger fans, to Rockin' Radio's football podcast. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Nathan Hurst. This is Before the Box Score, your post-Buffalo football game edition. Welcome to another victory. These are easier to do when you win, but Missouri, your number 9 Missouri Tigers, defeated Buffalo 38-0. Another shutout that we get to add to the list. At this point, if you haven't heard, if you're under a rock and not on social media or anything like that, this is the first time that Missouri has shut out its first two opponents of the year since 1935. It's the first time that any FBS program has done it since Wisconsin in 2019. And guys, I'll just tell you, you don't need to like lessen it because of the opponents. If it was that easy to do, people would do it all the time. Nathan Hurst, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling just as good as Tiger fans felt after shutting out Warrensburg Teachers College in 1935.
Suck at teachers.
I think they're now known as the Central Missouri State Mules.
That's right.
But they were formerly all teachers. So a little more impressive to shut out Buffalo, I think, than, a bunch of aspiring teachers. No offense to the teachers out there and their athletic abilities, but a little better feat this time around.
Absolutely. So Missouri's 2-0. Have not played a conference game yet. Really have not been challenged yet. But you're still 2-0. You still have not given up any points. You're still the number one defense in the nation in scoring and total yards, which, again, antiquated stats, but it's fun to throw out when you're the best. And, jumping right into it, it was kind of a sleepy game. I'll be honest. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But you didn't get a lot of flash from the offense. You had Brady Cook's run. You had Luther Burden seeking out contact on the touchdown run. But Theo Weiss obviously had a day, but the standout here is less about like, oh, flashy points. It was more like, oh, wow, you watched the game and magically you ended up with 38 at the end. I mean, Nathan Hurst, boring is good, but what were your perceptions of this game as we went through it?
I think boring is a great word for it, other than boring with flashes of frustration, at least with some of the penalties, and some pretty eye-popping plays. The Brady Cook run there in the second quarter was a lot of fun to watch, especially when you're sitting in that corner of the hill and he's running right at you, and all of a sudden he's flipping over head over heels, and it's that was a lot of fun. But that was one moment in a 3-hour escapade of kind of drudgery, which when you're playing Buffalo in second week of the season, drudgery is fine. If it's getting a little too exciting, that's not what you want. You don't want your hair tingling, your goosebumps coming up because you're nervous or you're excited. You really don't want that against Buffalo. You want just pound it out, boring, get the business done, get in, get out, and go home. So that's what it was. There were some things that could get cleaned up for sure, and we'll talk about those things here today. But overall, it's what you wanted out of this. I think we got just about everything, short of maybe one or two deep passes. But there are some reasons why those didn't come together this game.
Yeah. So let's start with the defense, because obviously that's been the biggest impression that's left on Missouri fans these past two games. I mean, two straight shutouts. This game they had it was like 254 yards, 82 yards passing over those two games. Like, let me say that again slower. Over two games, 254 total yards, 82 yards passing. 2 games. And really, you don't see a drop-off on the defensive line between your ones and twos. You don't really see a drop-off in the linebackers between your ones and twos. And these teams have been so bad at passing, I can't even tell you what corners have been playing. I know they've rotated a lot. Can't tell you who they are. I'm again, I don't want to be negative, Nate, just to be a shtick, but like, I have trouble elevating this defense to the greatest thing we've ever seen when you have 2 data points against Murray State and Buffalo. I'm not saying it can't be that way, and I'm not saying they're on track. It's not impressive. Clearly, shutting down opponents, impressive. They have not been challenged. They have not really even been tested. So I'm not at the elite yet, but it's maybe the best stretch of defensive football of the past 3 games, if we count to Ohio State, than we have seen since 2015?
Easily. And I mean, you could even go back to 4 games. They allowed a late touchdown against Arkansas when the third strings were in, but beyond that, I mean, it was a dominant performance there. And now that's not saying a lot with the team that Arkansas was rolling out there at the end of the year, especially when KJ Jefferson got hurt early in that game. But you can easily go back at least 4 games to really strong strong opponents. And no, they haven't been tested. They put out elite numbers for this program in these first two games. And if they're going to be an elite defense, they need to do that. But they certainly haven't proven. They haven't had a chance to prove that they are at that level yet. And I think they're going to really get a chance to do that next week. But we'll talk about Boston College here a little later in the week. But they put up some pretty impressive numbers against an inferior opponent themselves this past week. So we'll get to that when we get to it. But they're going to have a chance to get there, and whether they'll show us or they won't, they'll have a chance. But they've done what we beyond what we could have hoped that they would have done against these opponents. I mean, if you could have told me they would have given up 280 yards against Buffalo before the season started, I would say like, that's okay. That's not great, but that's okay.
Yeah,
280 yards in 2 full games, including shutting them out. That I couldn't have asked for or even really wished anywhere close to it being that good. In Corey Batoon's first 2 games, and you got to remember, this isn't. He says he's running this. They say they're running the same system, but he's still a new guy. He's getting used. If nothing else, he's getting used to the personnel that he has to move around, and you can't ask any more from what we've seen so far.
Yeah. And defensively, it's not like there's a ton of flash here. Obviously, there is havoc. They had a 30% havoc rate against Murray State. Now against 40 tackles, that's a small sample size, but it's another small sample size deal here with 38 tackles, and their havoc rate was at 23%. So that's 5 tackles for loss. That's not it's not a ton. It doesn't feel like a ton. 3 of those were sacks. You had 3 passes broken up in an interception. So you had some like standout plays, but it's not like they're doing this like shutting down opponents and holding them such low yardage because every other play is like a run stuff or a tackle for loss. It's just competent defense. It's playing your receiver and boxing him out from the pass. It's getting upfield and collapsing the offensive line so the running back has nowhere to go and he gets 1 yard. And again, this defense is going against overmatched offenses, just some awful offenses. I mean, Murray State is FCS, so take that what you will. Buffalo's offense coming in was ranked 126th in the nation. There's only 133 teams that play. And after going against Missouri, they're now the 131st offense in the nation. So, these are not good teams, but they're doing it. And it doesn't require big boom havoc plays like Blake Baker needed. It's just competent tackling, competent coverage, drop step, wrap him up, bring him to the ground. I love it. I mean, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel better that they can beat inferior teams without the big plays. I like to see a little bit more, but I don't know. It gives me comfort that you don't need to rely on that against inferior opponents. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. It's not boom or bust, right? It's not, we got to sell out to make a stop here. And if we get it, great. And that means it's going to be a 15-yard loss. And if we don't, then it's a 40-yard play down the other end. It's really, now I'm not comparing this defense to Georgia, but this is the type of defensive performance that a Georgia puts out on the field where they're not creating a ton of havoc. They're not, fairly average amount. They average amount of turnovers, but they just swarm you and they drop you down 2 yards on a pass play, catch and tackled immediately. Run up the middle, stuffed, maybe a 1 yard gain. That's the type of defense that they play to a great effect. Now, that I think they're on a different level than this team is, certainly on the talent side, but they don't depend on those. And when you don't have to depend on those big havoc plays, that means you can play a little more conservatively on the back end, which means that you're not going to be giving up those big long plays. Now, I think Buffalo, I think they did get a couple explosive plays. One of them was one of the most bizarre. Somehow the ball went straight through Toriano's Pride's hands. It should have been a pick. I don't know how it wasn't. And I'm not even going to count that one because he was in the right position. It's just a weird, fluky play. He might have been a little aggressive on that pass defense. If he had played it off a little bit, he would have made the tackle immediately, and the receiver wouldn't have run another 20 yards. Sure. But I'd rather him go for the pick there, especially at that time and place in the game. So beyond that, maybe 2 other plays that they had that were explosive plays.
I got them right here for you. I mean, they had 122 yards rushing. Buffalo did 65 of that came on 4 plays.
Yeah.
2 runs from Barksdale, who was great, by the way. One 18-yard scramble by Agbana, and then a 15-yard run by Aljay Henderson. That was it. And then really the only big explosive play was exactly what you talked about in the second quarter, that pass to Victor Snow. That's it. You had 168 yards once you strip out the sack loss. And so you had 29 of that in one pass and 65 of that on 4 runs. There you go. They did. Now Wyoming beat Mizzou this way in 2019 by having like 5 explosive plays that went for touchdowns. But like, if you can do that, if you can mitigate literally everything else, and then make sure the explosives don't absolutely kill you, I mean, there you go. There you go. That's how you do it. And also, after last week, Murray State ran one play in Missouri territory, right? And so we knew that wasn't going to be the case again. I think Buffalo ran, it was like eight plays in Missouri territory, maybe 11. I'm not going to count it here on live. I'll get it in beyond the box score, but it wasn't much. They had 2 scoring opportunities and came away with 0 points.
Yeah, one was that they got stuffed on 4th down, and one they missed a field goal. So
Yep.
I can't, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah. So it's great. And again, these offenses stink out loud, but
the quarterback play has been very poor. I will say
very
that.
poor.
They will not play too. At UMass, I don't know much about their quarterback at this point. Probably similar level. But starting next week, the play of the quarterbacks is going to improve significantly. So we're really gonna find out a lot more about this defense moving forward. Just because if you don't have a good quarterback in today's college football, unless you run the triple option, you're not going to move the ball. You're just not going to do it. And Buffalo and Murray State did not have good quarterback play and did not move the ball at all. I did notice a few different times. I'm really curious to see how often he does this, but we saw the 3-1-7 formation again. Yeah. And it seemed like, especially they were running it towards the end of the half when it was kind of a 2-minute offense for Buffalo. And I think they were really expecting that Buffalo's going to pass it. So let's get 7 defensive backs in there, but still have some sort of a pass rush. So they had the 3 down linemen. It was really 1 tackle. So it was McClellan, and then Eddie Kelly and Zion Young was the other defensive end. So those 3 down linemen and 1 linebacker, and Khalil Jacobs, who's by far the fastest of the linebackers, probably the best one, I would imagine, in pass coverage, at least that they think. And then 7 defensive backs, which included 4 safeties, which I found very interesting. So we have Sidney Williams, Travis Johnson, Dalen Carnell, Joseph Charleston were all on the field at the same time. And then you had Pride and Norwood out there, and then Deloach.
Cool.
So very, very interesting use of personnel in that. And Buffalo, I think they saw that alignment and they tried to run a little draw play. They're like, oh, we could, this is a 4-man box. There's no, we have to be able to, run for 8 yards here and get a first down on 2nd and 2 or whatever, or 2nd and 8 or whatever it was. Yeah. Ran up the middle. McClellan, was double teamed and still managed to tackle a running back. I think it was a 4-yard gain, but it was nowhere near close enough to get the first down. And then they came up and tried to throw it the next down, and it was an incompletion, and they ended up punting. And then Mizzou comes back down and gets the field goal attempt at the end of the half. So really interested to see how often they use that next week. I don't think we're going to see it much next week with how Boston College plays. I mean, they are much more run heavy, and they've got. I say that though, we're not going to see 1 linebacker on the field at any point in time against Boston College. We may see 4 safeties on the field if we want better tackling secondary, if we're not that concerned about their passing game, which I don't think they should be super concerned about it. But seeing Sidney Williams really, in effect, in this 3-1-7, Carnell and Williams were playing linebacker. They were just safeties that were playing linebacker. So in a sense, it might have been more of a 3-3-5, but with 2 safeties playing linebacker, because they were both playing very close to the line of scrimmage. And that I think they didn't have a ton of snaps that way. It might have been 3 or 4 there in the second half, but it was interesting to see.
Yeah. I mean, Thomas Castellanos is not a threat with his arm, right? Like obviously he's a D1 quarterback. He can throw the ball. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's not been impressive so far, both against Duquesne last week and then Florida State the week before. So,
well, he was 9 for 10 against Duquesne. So good, but he only threw the ball 10 times, and that tells you
10
they didn't need to. They didn't need to throw it because they ran the ball so well. And I mean, Duquesne is not good, so we won't learn a whole lot of that, but we can talk about that later on. Yeah. It'll just be very interesting to see these weird weird formations. I kind of like it. I like it at least experimenting against Buffalo. That's the team to experiment against.
Absolutely. See what you got.
And just see what you got. And maybe we don't see that again until it's a 2-minute drill at the against Mississippi State, and they're throwing the ball a lot, and all of a sudden they throw it out there again when they know they're not going to run the ball, and maybe they'll have some experience and it'll help them out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it gets guys on the field. If you're specifically in the secondary, you're trying to figure out what you got and get some live fire on your younger corners. Like, that's a great time to do it, and your backup safeties. So, defense is impressive. Not really tested, but impressive. And I'm still unclear on how these corners are going to do so far. Flying colors. Obviously, I'm not going to complain about 46 net passing yards when you count sacks. That's pretty dang good. But I like to see what they do when they go up against power 4 receivers. So we'll find out next week. Now, on the offensive side, I put it out on Twitter while we were watching it that I said that this exact situation is why it's good to have a ramp up schedule. And ramp up means you start with the dregs and FCS, work your way up to a bad G5. I could perceive bad P4 and then a bad conference opponent. Because, even no matter who you are, every college team loses a good chunk of their roster every single year. And especially now when you're importing transfers from other schools, you're not really sure what you have. And you're really not sure what that's going to look like. And you would think that an offense that returns almost everybody would really pick up right where they left off. Well, listener, 3 weeks of off time between your last game and your bowl led to 14 points from last year's Missouri Tigers team. Like, a whole basically 8 months can really throw you off. Okay. And, when it comes to college, offense is a science, defense is an art. You can really just put talented athletes on defense and the vibes will get you really, really far. That's why defense usually wins spring scrimmages and fall scrimmages. Offense is about timing, precision, feel with the guys that you're throwing to, understanding what you're looking at. It is a science. It takes some time to ramp up. So even with starting just 2 guys on the offensive line, 2 new running backs, and you still have all your receivers, you still got to get that timing down. And it really hasn't been there yet on the deep passing game. Short to intermediate passing game, muy bueno. Running game, fantastimo. But the deep ball isn't there yet. And so it feels like this offense isn't clicking, and yet they still scored more than 90 in the past 2 weeks. So what do we need to do, Hurst? What do you need to do to impress you?
Just tighten it up across the board. That's all I got to do is tighten it up. It's fine. The offense where it is today, if we transport ourselves back 365 days, the day after the Middle Tennessee State game, our thoughts about the offense then after 2 games.
Yep.
And then transport ourselves back here. What our offense is like today after 2 games.
Yeah.
Night and day. All right. We are disappointed, quote unquote, with the offense. This offense after 2 games. Compare the stats between after Middle Tennessee State and that awful 19-15 travesty, whatever that was.
23-19. Yeah.
23-19. I knew there was a 19 in there. Night and day across the board. So if this is the base level that the offense is only going to get better from, which I believe they will only get better from where they are today, I think they're going to be just fine. Now they need to figure it out soon. Just like last year, they had to figure it out real soon with a good team coming in week 3. That's going to happen again next week. So they've gotten their ramp up time. We talked about two new offensive linemen this past week. It was really 3. I mean, Mitchell Walters is not new, but he's not experienced. I mean, he's a 5th-year player, but he has not played much. Certainly not as a starter. And I think he did admirably well as a slot.
I didn't notice him.
He had really. I went back and watched the game. Two plays that you noticed him, which is you don't want to notice a backup guard that's in the game. One, it was a face mask penalty, which that was a penalty.
Pretty egregious one too, if I remember correctly.
For sure. And the other one was on the interception actually that Cook threw. They ran a really nice twist action on the defensive line, and Mizzou stayed with his man who was kind of cutting in and almost picked Walters, and the Walters man looped around, and he's the one who really put the big pressure on Cook, which caused him to roll out and then ultimately throw it back. Now the interception was not Walters' fault. That was a bad choice on Cook's part, but it blew up the play, and it wouldn't have resulted in a conversion regardless, because there just wasn't a good communication there, and I'm not sure if that was Walter's fault, if that was Mizzou's fault, if it was just a good play by Buffalo's defense. I think it was a combination of the few there. Those are the only two plays that really stuck out.
Yeah.
So you got three new-ish starters on the line, and otherwise, Green had a couple penalties on him. One of them was just one of the worst holding calls that I've ever seen.
Pretty flimsy.
Really just a non-call, and nothing happened, and they called it. And then I think he had like a false start in there too. So, and Bryant, we haven't heard his name at all, and that's exactly what you want out of your left tackle, is you don't want to hear his name, and we haven't. So, they just need to tighten it up. You talked about the deep ball. There really were only a couple options. Buffalo, they came into the game, their game plan very clearly was, we are not going to give up these big deep shots. So they played back. Which is why Theo Weiss just ate all day long. Is because they gave him, there was not a single play, a snap that Weiss was on the field that he didn't have a 10-yard cushion.
At least. It was incredible.
They were not going to get beat deep. And they didn't, to their credit, they did not get beat deep. There was, but they also gave up 140 yards to Weiss on little 8-yard stop routes, and then he'd run another 5 yards over and over and over again. Cook saw it, he took it, got a lot of yards out of it. That's all you can really ask there. There was one great, pretty deep shot that incredible throw to Weiss, and Weiss dropped it. He somehow threaded the needle.
Yeah.
Tough catch, amazing throw. It was there. That's all that you can ask for of Cook on that play. There's really the only one miss that Cook had all game. He had Daniel Blood open in the third quarter, kind of a little up and out, and he was pretty open. Yeah. It probably would have been a 25-yard gain at least, but he overthrew him. That's the one he'd want, other than the interception, which he just made a bad choice. It was fourth down. He's like, I got to, throw
arm punt.
Basically what it was. I will take credit though for calling about Charles MacArthur, he's the one with the pick there. Ball hawk there. He will be playing on a P4 team next year. I can guarantee you that. But really take back the pick decision. You really should just thrown it out of bounds, to be honest. Though on the pick, the field position ended up better than an incomplete pass. So, we can't really say too much about that. But that one throw to Blood, okay, he missed one. He was at 70, rounding up 78% completion percentage. That's as good as you can ever expect.
Yeah. 78 this week, 65 rounding up last week. Look, there two things can be true at the same time. You can say that Brady Cook has not shown an ability to reliably hit the deep shot, and you can also believe he's probably going to be okay. We've seen him do it. He did it last year. Okay. I'm not super concerned. I'd like to see more, but again, one connection all of a sudden makes everyone no longer a worry. So the first time he hits one, it's going to be fine. Also keep in mind, you had a new right guard, like you said, Mitchell Walters. Other than his name literally being called out, you really didn't notice him, other than, of course, the interception that you mentioned there. Didn't really seem to be a huge drop-off. And for a guy who's 6'8" playing guard, that's pretty good. That's your backup. You did not have Brett Norfleet. He was not going to play. Luther Burden had the butt pee. Had some tummy troubles, I guess, after that touchdown, so he wasn't playing. There were some things that were just different. And you did just fine. I have not run success rates for this yet. I was able to chart most of Buffalo, but not Mizzou. I feel pretty confident in saying they were just fine. Probably about a 50% success rate in the air. I'd probably say 55, 60% success rate rushing the ball. We'll see how it shakes out. You had the one bad snap that caused Brady to take a knee and try to hand it off to Mekhi Miller. And you had the Quan Lacey fumble towards the end of the game. Really, can you really complain about anything else? I don't think you can. And I know it's not 50 points again, like we saw against Murray State, but that's, 50 points against Murray State was the anomaly. Even great Eli Drinkwitz offenses put up 35, right? 35 to 40 pretty much every time. So I think this offense is just as good as we think it is. if we have off-season brain and think that everything should be 55 to nothing, then that's on us. I'm just not concerned. I'm really not. Now they get a good test this week. We're going to find out a little bit more about them. But other than just wanting to see more deep shots, is there anything else you want to see?
No, to be honest, no. And it's honestly, I want to see more deep shots if they're there. I'm remembering now as I'm listening to you talk, there was another one early in the game, and he actually put it right on the money to Marquise Johnson. There was a pass interference call, so they got what they wanted out of it. They got 15 yards. I mean, it would have been nice if there wasn't a pass interference on that play because Johnson probably catches it for a 40-yard gain. It was perfectly accurate pass, but you can't control what the defense is going to do if they're going to tackle your guy when he's trying to catch the ball. So beyond the deep passes, I would love them to hit some if they're there. But if they're not given to you, you can only take what the defense is going to give to you. I certainly don't want them to force it just for the sake of forcing the ball in there. So if Boston College comes in and gives Theo Weiss 10 yards of cushion on every down, I am more than happy to see 8 yards, 8 yards, 8 yards, 8 yards all the way down the field. Because not only are you moving the ball, you're controlling the ball, you're controlling the clock against a team like Boston College that you want to do that because they're going to try to do that to you on the other side. So you want to keep your defense off the field as much as you can and keep them as rested as you can. So if the big play isn't being given to you, you don't have to try and force it. There are still plenty of ways to move the ball down the field, through the run game, through the short passing game, and they've been perfectly happy to do that so far.
Yeah, and I mean, no disrespect to Theo Weiss, but I think any power 4 receiver could have that kind of day if he was given 10 yards cushion every single play. Every single play. But he did it. And he had some tough ones and he got yacked too. This wasn't just catch the ball and get hit. He was pressing the spin button, he was juking some fools and he earned it. He earned all of 149 yards, 13 catches, 14 targets. That's talent too. You got to do something with it and he did. Really wish he would have gotten a touchdown, but you know what? Whatever. They still got the win. That counts. So yeah, I mean, it was impressive. And I'm assuming we're going to get Luther back for BC. I'm assuming Northfleet's going to come back for BC. I'm assuming Cameron Johnson's going to play against BC and we're all going to be back, happy family. But yeah, for now, you had some backups in key positions and Mizzou looked just fine on offense. So that's good. Who was your favorite running back, Nate Noel or Marcus Carroll?
Oh, that's tough. Probably Nate Noel. Just watching him, flash up there, the quickness that he has is just really eye-popping. That said, I think Carroll's is gonna prove to be the steadier back throughout the year. He's gonna be the guy that you're gonna get. You're gonna get at least 3-4 yards every time. Noel could get stuffed at the line, or he could give you 9, 10, 11, 12. It's kind of a feast or famine a little bit more. But it's nice to have those different options given to you. And I like seeing him line up a couple different times on the goal line as the quarterback take the snap.
Yep.
Has to throw up a different look. We've seen the Brady Cook fake pitch keep. We even saw it again tonight that it worked barely for a touchdown. It's not going to work anymore. So they got to find some other wrinkle at putting Noel back there as the quarterback and Brady Cook as the running back. That's a little different, and they tried that and it worked. So yeah, always be experimenting. It's fun that he has the skill set to allow you to play around a little bit with that.
Yeah, just run play, same play, different guy. That's hilarious. That's Kirby Moore just being a big old troll,
Maybe they'll pitch it out to Cook and he can throw it in. I mean, that would be kind of fun.
Look, man, all Brady Cook has to do is just pitch it. I think I said it on Twitter. I was like, someone responded. It might have been, Brett Sarver. I was just like, he's like, someday he's going to pitch. I'm like, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait because it's going to be sexual when he lets that thing go and everybody's on the interior and nobody's on the outside. Someday, I don't know if that's a read or if that's just you are purely just fake pitching it and running. I don't know, obviously, what the scheme is, but
my guess is it's the fake pitch is called because when he does it, his head doesn't really move. His arms move, but he's still looking at where he's going. So if he was going to read it, I feel like his head would be a little more gauge the outside of the defense. But it's a cursory attempt at best.
Unless he's reading Mike linebacker and he's like, okay, if he if he runs, I'm up. I don't know, whatever.
If
He
we're going to
also
do that,
doesn't
maybe
look.
run an option pitch, an option play. I think it's a little easier to pitch it kind of side hand versus the underhand pitch if you're
True.
really trying to make a read
Yeah.
at that point.
Well, whatever it is, you got to come up with something new. And it's not like Buffalo read it, but it was not blocked super well. And it was very messy. And he barely, I still don't think he got it, but it was given to us. So, hey, I'll take it. So, yeah, if that's Nate Knoll taking it instead, or you just pitch it, or you come up with a different play, let's go ahead and do that. This is the Brady Cook fake pitch is well worn territory at this point. I think everyone figures out that's what it's going to look like. So, I'd like to see something different. But, also it's fun to see Nate Knoll as a Wildcat quarterback bring back the echoes of 2009, 2010 when that was all the rage in football. So offense good. So that defense, offense, and then of course that third aspect of football, the special teams. Eli Drinkwitz seemed almost predetermined to put Blake Craig out there in some low risk, serious length situations just to see what he could do. The good news is Craig the Leg's got a cannon. Bad news is that we got to calibrate it just a little bit. But he made one over 50 yards. He missed a 49-yarder, if I remember correctly, and he missed a 48.
I think it was 52. His last
52?
one was 52. So all right there in the similar range, but
Yeah.
easily had it by 10 yards each time.
Oh, yeah.
The distance was not the problem, even on either of those misses. It was just kind of getting it lined up the right way.
Yeah. So miss left on one, miss right on the other. It's okay. It's okay. I'm glad to see he made one. Obviously, it's not a pressure situation. It's not a gotta have it situation, but you do want your freshman kicker to get out there and just kick, feel what it's like. Obviously, he can boom it down the back of the end zone for kickoffs, except for that one time. So I'm not really super concerned about that, but you do need to see what he can do as far as accuracy goes. So I was glad to see that. And really, you saw Luke Bauer, power punter, got him coffin cornered within the 5-yard line on one of them. I think he had a net of 44 yards net on his punts. It's great. Two punts, 44 yards, flips the field. It's good. And, once Luther went out, I mean, not that they really trot him out there for returns anyway, but everybody fielded the ball cleanly. No screw ups on that side, and Missouri was just fine. So, again, your special teams have not really been tested. They haven't really shown much. But 1 for 3 on field goals in low stress situations. I feel pretty good about that.
And he was perfect on the first night. So he's proven he can hit the easier ones. I mean, I think both the kicks he had, or he had 3 kicks against Murray State, and they were all inside 40 yards. So he can make the inside 40s, and he's got the leg for the 50-yarders.
Yeah.
For a freshman, that's really all you can hope for at this point.
Yeah. Well, let's you get the sneak peek because you're listening to the show early. As first downs gained throughout the year, if you remember, I'm tracking which guys get first downs, not convert third downs, but get enough yardage to get a first down. Last week, Nate Noel and Quan Lacey were tied at the top with 3 first downs gained each. After this game, Nathan Hurst, do you want to take a guess? You get 2 guesses because it's 2 different questions. Number 1, who had the most first downs gained against Buffalo? And then question number 2, who is now the clubhouse leader in overall first downs gained? And keep in mind, Brady Cook in passing to somebody is a unit. So don't count Brady Cook running and passing as the same thing.
Yeah. I would say Brady Cook and Theo Weiss was the winner for Buffalo.
Okay.
And I would say the total leader, it might be Brady Cook and Theo Weiss again, because they were like number 2, weren't they, in week 1? So I feel like they won easily the second week, and that would put them ahead.
Nice. So Brady Cook and Theo Weiss connected for 4 first downs gained. That was third on the team. Second,
really, I would have said thought it was way more than that, just because of the 14 catches, and it didn't seem like most of them were longer than 4 yards. So
you would think, but that was not the case. The second, number 2, was Nate Noel. He had 5 first downs gained for the game, which of course leaves really the only other option, Marcus Carroll, 7 first downs gained against Buffalo, which answers our second question, is currently the clubhouse leader on first downs gained for the year with 9 on the year after getting 2 against Murray State. The number 2 guy is Nate Noel at 8. And then, of course, your buddies, Brady Cook and Theo Weiss, are third on the year with 6 total.
Interesting. Yeah, it seems like when Carroll's in the game, my guess is the reason it's that way is they're a little more likely on the 3rd and 2s to get to
Yep.
run the ball with Carroll. While if Noel's in the game, maybe they're going to pass it. He seems to be the more a capable receiving back of the two. So that would be my guess as to why we're seeing that numbers this early in the season anyway.
So far, yeah. I'm really curious to see how this shakes out once you get to defenses with the pulse. But yeah, so far that's where we're at. My favorite, I think, so far is Brady Cook to Jordan Harris at his first target, first catch, first down converted for the 3-star tight end out of Arkansas, who had a bunch of games played last year and 0 targets and 0 catches. So I was very glad to see the big guy get pressed into service in the pass game. Did not look like the most comfortable receiver, but he saw the ball, caught it, and he brought it in for a first down. So bravo.
Maybe he wasn't willing, but at least he was capable. Shout out to him too. He played a lot of fullback last night, which was really interesting to see. There were a few old school I formations that they lined up in. One came out with a very old school kind of goal line play action tight end fade in the corner. Wasn't crazy about them running that to the short side, because if they ran to the long side of the field, Stevens has more room to run under that ball, and it's probably a touchdown. But for whatever reason, they decided to run it to the short side, and there just wasn't enough room over there to fit it all in. So maybe that's something Kirby Moore can reevaluate next time around.
You know who else was a fun fullback? Marcus Carroll. They trotted him out there, and I think that was mostly on Luther Burden's runs. But I know he's not like the biggest dude, but he's also like 215, and he is just a little ball of anger. And I love seeing him take on the block. So a lot of willing blockers out there, and that's what you need to do. You don't get the rock unless you can block. Just remember that. Okay, so we'll get into Boston College as we get into this Wednesday show upcoming. But just to set the scene, get you a little amuse-bouche, your Tigers are now number 6 in the nation. AP came out and put him as number 6. I think the coaches have him at number 8. Bill Connolly, the podfather, he sees us as number 7. Boston College coming in at number 24 on the AP poll, which means that the game against the Eagles is, I think, the only ranked matchup this week. Number 6 at home, number 24 visiting. So they did that after beating Florida State, who we all realize now is a fraud, and then beating Duquesne. Shut them out, but Duquesne. How do we feel about this?
About Boston College being ranked?
Yeah.
I think it's a product of a high-profile, visible win, regardless of what Florida State actually is. That was the only game on at the time. Everyone was watching it.
Sure.
And the very early season, there's about 40 teams from ranked 20th to 60th that no one knows yet what those teams are. So everyone's played 2 Florida State's played 3 games. Everyone else has played 2 games. We don't know enough about those teams. So let's throw a 2-0 team that has a highly visible win on the road and is kind of a fun story. We'll throw them in there. Why not? If they get blown out by Mizzou next week, we can easily just drop them off, and by the end of the year, no one's even going to remember that we ever ranked them in the first place. So it's a low stakes, nod at maybe here's a fun story. That's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know. I mean, whatever. We
and
are
Kansas lost, so they had to open a spot for somebody.
I mean, somebody had to do it. Yeah. Suck at Kansas. Missouri is the toughest team left on Boston College's schedule, by the way. Now it's week 3, so a lot of things can change, but Missouri is 7th. Their next toughest competition as of, again, week 3 would be Louisville, who comes in at 14th, which doesn't happen until October 25th. So this happens to Missouri all the time, so I am hesitant to say it, but this could be hey, this is our Super Bowl moment. We get to come in here, we're ranked, we get to, we beat them when they came to us. Let's go beat them in their home and make them sad all over again. Obviously, having a talented runner at quarterback is very funky. Their offensive line's pretty good. I don't think they've seen a defensive line like this one before, but that's none of my business. And we'll see what happens. But Vibes are good. I don't want to overlook an opponent, but Nathan Hurst, we're feeling good, right?
Feeling good, feeling good. I think, to be honest, I think from the team's aspect, I'll speak for them. The way that these first two games have played out, I think they've played out, or maybe let me say this: I'll speak for the coaching staff. I think these two games probably played out as well as they could have hoped. In that they dominated both games, but they're not in a fashion where you were left wanting something more, at least on the offensive side. So the coaches have something in practice to keep them focused on. Hey, look, we had 10 penalties for 80 yards, or 8 to 10. I think it was at least 8, if not
11 called, 10 accepted.
Yeah, 10 penalties for 80 yards. We got to clean this stuff up. Now, we talked about those holding calls. At least 2 of those were suspect at best. But a lot of them were the alignment calls, several alignment calls. Now, they were very, very strict on those. I went back and watched all 3 and kind of screenshotted all 3 of those. All 3 of them, you could see where they're coming from, but also you could see where if you weren't being super strict, like, he's off the ball. Now, is he enough off the ball to be considered off the line of scrimmage? That's up to interpretation. They, on all 3 of those, interpreted it as he was not off the ball enough to be considered off the ball, which led to all 3. So that's something that needs to be cleaned up for sure, but it's also something that can be very easily cleaned up. It's not if you get 50 holding calls in a game, maybe it's just because your guys suck, and they just can't do anything but hold. That wasn't the case here. 2 of those holds were trash calls. A couple others were, but you're going to get 1 or 2 a game. The alignment ones you can, but that's ways that coaches can get the team focused but still being able to point to a lot of the positives and say, we're doing a lot of these things right. We tighten these things up, just pay a little more attention to these few things. It's gonna, we're doing right. We're doing good. So the vibes are good. The vibes are good, it should be good in the fans. I hope we're all feeling good today. I'm feeling good today.
Yeah.
I think in the locker room, they're feeling good. They've had 2 dominant wins, but they also know that they've got stuff they need to improve on, can improve on, and if they put the work into it, will improve on them to get better. Because that's really how you prevent these, a sneak attack, is if you stay focused and say, we got to keep chugging along, got to keep showing that we have something to prove, keep proving what we think we have to prove. I think that at this point, especially with a team that is now better than we thought they were going to be, that's only going to hopefully keep them more focused going into this next week.
Sure. Yeah. Coaches love it when they have something to teach. Nick Saban was the worst at this. When he was yelling and screaming, he was so happy. He was so happy. That's why he came up with the rat poison. That's why he made up quotes about disrespect and got so mad at little ticky-tack things and victories because he needed something to coach and teach. So yeah, the best thing that could possibly happen is to dominate your opponent and have things to improve on. So yeah, all the guys got an opponent, the penalties, they'll get their up downs or they run their stadium stairs, and the legal formation, you chew out Jacob Peeler and get his receivers in line and keep everybody on edge. And you're like, oh yeah, this is great. We're doing great. And I get to still be, punish these guys for being stupid. Like it's a great place to be. But it's going to be a real test too. So we're going to really figure out what some aspects of this team can look like with hopefully a little bit more pressure, a ranked team coming into town. I think they'll definitely have their focus, but we're going to dive into that on Wednesday. For now, that is going to be the show for today. And as always, we appreciate the downloads and the subscriptions. You can leave a comment or rate us. We love all types of feedback from you all. You can follow us on Twitter at Matt and H. Edwards. He's at Burst to Hearst. And of course, you can follow the Rock Him flagship at Rock Him Nation and our podcasting outlet at Rock Him Radio. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, MIZ.
ZOU.
Dear Rock M Plus listeners, readers, and subscribers, we are thrilled to announce our first ever digital Mizzou football review magazine. Inspired by the iconic newsstand staples like Athlon, Phil Steele, and Street and Smith, our team has created a PDF file jam-packed full of content for you to learn about the most anticipated Missouri football season maybe in history. Checking in at about 100 pages, we have in-depth previews of all 12 opponents, analysis of each position group, profiles of newcomers, exclusive photographs, features like a retrospective on the 2014 team, the evolution of Faroe Field, Luther Burden's place in Mizzou history, and more. We also have an analytics Q&A with Bill Connolly of ESPN, the founder of Rock M. We also have college football preview content and much more. This digital magazine is available now. It is $15 for purchase, with discounts available for premium Rock M Plus subscribers based on your membership tier. $10 for monthly members, $5 if you have an annual membership. Now is the time to become a member to secure your discount on this one-of-a-kind product today. We know that you're going to love this magazine, and we can't wait to have it on your devices. MIZ.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.